And welcome back to another episode of the Business is Pleasure podcast with myself, Jonelle George Francis, and my beautiful partner in crime / girlfriend / business partner. And they say to never mix business and pleasure. Colette is her name, by the way. I totally skipped over that part. And sometimes I think they're right. Because the way this girl pisses me off,
I don't piss you off.
Gets under my skin, motivates me, loves me, and impresses me every day. It's incredible. She literally does all of it in one. All of it. But nonetheless, I would never, ever want to trade you for anyone else. Except if that person was me.
Okay.
But the way we always start the podcast off, babe, how was your week?
Well, first off, let me just start by saying you just redeemed yourself. Because I was really annoyed with you about 20 seconds ago.
Okay.
And now I'm better.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Babe, I know what to do. I know how to,
Okay, relax.
change up a little bit.
Okay, relax.
Make things better.
Okay.
You know?
Too far now.
Okay. My bad, babe.
Okay, but thank you. So yeah, my week was good. It was my birthday yesterday.
Boop. You turned big woman.
Yeah, so... But yeah, other than that, we had a really busy weekend, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Not this past weekend, but the weekend before that.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 events back to back.
Yeah, the rodeo.
And
I think it was a true testament of us, trying to be as resilient as possible. So we had the Dead Stock Depot that occurred in Toronto. Amazing event. If you guys are ever in town, you have to check them out. What it is, it's like a flea market style setting where they have a bunch of vendors all over Toronto. Some all from Niagara Falls down to Montreal. And we all come together and we just sell different types of vintage clothing and everything. So it was actually just a beautiful event. I really enjoyed. And then literally 12 hours later, we had to go to sleep, wake up, and drive about 4 hours. Well, with me driving, it's like 3.5.
Oh gosh.
All the way to Ottawa, which was an even better show. So it was nice just to have those 2 contrasting shows and those 2 contrasting demographics, and to really be able to appeal to them the way we did.
And it's interesting because the 2 demographics between Dead Stock Depot and the Ottawa Vintage Clothing Show, they're both kind of completely different.
Oh, 100%.
For the most part, but generally we sold around the same, if not more.
Yeah.
We did well at both events. So I think one of the major things that allowed us to do so well at both events is the fact that we're really understanding our ability to sell and adaptive selling for that particular event.
Adaptive selling, you have to give me an example of that. What do you mean?
So for example, when we're at Dead Stock Depot,
okay,
our cashmere sweaters, we sell them for $10.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, people that come to Dead Stock Depot, they're not necessarily looking for a cashmere sweater. They're more so looking for that vintage Tommy Hilfiger,
so something a bit more loud, essentially.
Sportswear, streetwear apparel, stuff like that. Whereas at the Ottawa Vintage Clothing Show, it's kind of a mixture of everyone, and they are looking for those classic amazing quality cashmere pieces from I don't even know when. You know what I mean? So we kind of have to gauge the market accordingly. So I said, at Dead Stock Depot, a cashmere sweater would be $10, whereas at the Toronto Vintage Clothing Show, a cashmere sweater would be $20 or $25. So it's just, and it's also the demand, right? So at an event like that, the demand for a cashmere sweater is higher, which is why the price is higher. At Dead Stock Depot, the demand for a cashmere sweater is a lot lower, so the price is lower.
It's kind of crazy because essentially what we're doing, we're playing into the market. Because that's what the market wants, right? If the market dictates a particular price in one area, we'll focus on that. But if we realize hey, the market wants this price with this demographic, maybe we should adjust those prices for each market that we're catering to, right?
It only makes sense.
Yeah, but that's what business is, you know what I mean? I think when we initially started our business, we kind of had a lot of trouble with that because we weren't sure to figure out what each market really wanted. But now that we're constantly around these different markets, meeting different people, understanding what each clientele essentially wants, we have a better understanding of pricing as well too,
Yeah, no, 100%. And also too, when we go to Ottawa Vintage Clothing Show, we have a good understanding of what the general price that everyone else is selling their stuff for too, or what everyone else is selling their cashmere sweaters for too. And the same thing goes for like Dead Stock Depot. Like when we're there, we kind of generally know like what everyone's selling like a windbreaker for, or like a really like, you know, niche like vintage piece for. So like we kind of know how to price and cater towards like whatever event we're at.
And I think with us, one thing that like I always hear from like different business people, if you're only worried about price, then they'll leave you right away once the customer can find a better price, you know? So I think with us, one thing that we're really good at, we're working on, is like saying hi to people. We're like really engaging with clients or whatever, you know? Because there's so many times we go to events and like a lot of the other vendors, I don't want to like beat anyone up or anything, you know? Like in terms of like their customer service, there's certain areas where they like aren't as good as that, you know? Like simply saying like, hey, how you doing today?
Like
nice t-shirt, like, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And then like in like a really like authentic and genuine way, you know what I mean? It's like when you go to, you know, like a store in the mall, for example, and you walk in and like every person that works there is just kind of like ignoring you. They're not looking at you.
Oh, I'd be so pissed.
You know, it's like that Pretty Woman moment when she's like, bitches, like you were ignoring me, but I actually, yeah, like big mistake, right? It's like it's kind of like the same thing. Like you feel offended, you feel like they're kind of like, oh well, they're not gonna buy anything. You feel like you're being judged for like whatever reason. So the same thing goes for these types of events. Like it's really important to acknowledge people and like make them feel special. Like your time isn't any more important than anyone else's, and like, you know, value them, value the hard earned money that they may choose to spend with you or not. So
yeah, and for me, when it really kicked in was when we were at Soul Exchange. And this guy, he's also in vintage as well, and like I actually like his outfit. And I was like, oh, like, you know, hey, how you doing? Nice outfit. And he's like, whoa, you guys are actually the only people that said hi to me, you know?
Yeah.
It was cool because he actually ended up buying something from us, and now he's actually like one of the people that I interact with on a regular basis through our online accounts, and hopefully like he'll bring us more leads, he'll be a customer. But it's like by simply bringing value to him, like making his day, being like, hey, like what's going on, you know, in a genuine way, like what you were saying. The sky's the limit, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's nice too because you don't ever want to discriminate against anybody.
No.
You always want to be
never
open
know.
to say hi to whoever, or just like start a conversation, you know?
You never know what like where that could lead you. And like the big thing about like vintage clothing and all that is that like our community is like really small, right? So like you're gonna run into that person again, most likely. You're gonna likely see them at another event or a different type of an event. So like it like really like makes a difference, right?
No, and that's the most important thing too, right? It's like you don't ever want to burn any bridges or do anything that causes someone to like have some type of animosity towards you. Or like, this fucking guy, he never said hi to me, man. Like,
yeah.
Forget, I'm not buying anything from them, you know?
No, 100%. And everyone has those like perceptions of people, right? Like when someone like looks at you and then looks away, it's like, okay, like what's wrong with them, you know? And then that like initial impression like stays with you every single time you see them. So
no, 100%.
That's something that we obviously don't want to affect our business. So.
And it's good too because what it allows us to do essentially, like we're building trust with the customers, you know what I mean? And I think that's really nice. It's like, it's cool to have people that like are one-off people that buy clothing, that talk to you guys every so often. But when we actually have a customer that we can actually build some type of relationship, whether it's an actual personal relationship or a business relationship, that has so much possibility for our business to grow. And just for people to see like, hey, these guys are authentic, these guys are cool, like they're actually genuine people, you know what I mean?
I want to be their friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's extremely important as well too, right?
I think that's something that I need to work on a little bit more because like I can be a people person when like I want to be, but there are some moments when like I'm not that I'm not in the mood, but I'm just like not necessarily like 100% comfortable. So I think like one of the things that I need to work on is really like pushing myself out of my comfort zone a little bit more to really like build that relationship, you know?
Yeah, because you always say that like sometimes you feel as if like people are like intimidated by you because you're a sweetie.
No, you
know
said
what I mean?
that. You said that, and I was just like, okay.
Yeah, maybe it's right, but that's the thing though. That's a potential to it, right? Because you know how people are like, oh, like when it comes to beautiful women, sometimes they get to feel like inferior. They're like a bit timid or whatever. You know what I mean?
I do feel more comfortable like talking to like women because I feel like I don't know what it is, but I feel like especially in like the industry that we're in, like whenever like the guys will come into like our like area, they always assume that like I'm not the owner, which like okay, whatever, like you have your perceptions, and then like they'll have like this, they just like have a different dialogue with you, if that makes sense. Like they'll be talking to me and they'll be like, okay, like, do you have any champion sweaters? And I'm like, yeah, like, we have, and then, like, they'll be talking to you and they're like, yo, bro, like.
But you have to understand, like, I have a really bubbly personality as well,
yeah,
too.
but
like,
so
you know
do
what I
I.
mean?
Like, I have an
You
amazing
do.
personality.
You have an amazing personality.
I have an
but maybe not for everyone.
No, I understand that, but I feel like it's just like a different vibe. Like, I don't know if maybe they don't want to come across a certain way, or like I don't want to come across a certain way. Like, it's a two-way street, but I just feel like it's different, and it is something that like I do need to like definitely like work on a little bit more to like actually build those relationships. And yeah, that's just like my thing that I need to work on, I think.
Yeah, but I think that's always good too, right? Because you've always been the type of person that wants to evolve and grow. And like just the simple fact that you're cognitive of this, that lets you know that, hey, like I want to do better. I want to improve in the business, you know? I'm sure there's so many things that like I have deficiencies in. But like, you know me, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm perfect. I'm good at everything, you know? So for you to even just like speak out to be like, yeah, like I need to do this. So one, it helps the business. And two, like it helps me. Like I'm sure it like helps you feel more comfortable. Like just engaging with people and meeting people and everything as well too, right? And again, like it builds that trust with the community. So I think it really has like a really positive benefit for you to do something like that. So it's really good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to the ideas like if you always like with myself, like I'm not always right in our relationship, but I think a lot of times I've been able to like look back at the business and like see the mistakes that I've made, where then I could be like, okay, well, if I was wrong in business, maybe I was wrong in the conversation with Colette. Maybe my approach wasn't appropriate. You know, how can I fix that?
Yeah, and that's definitely like a big component of like just being reflective in general. Like even like 5 minutes before we started this podcast, like we had a conversation about.
I irritated her, guys.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm always messing up, man.
So this is the thing, okay?
I'm always messing up.
You're not always messing up, but this is the thing. So I do something that he's done before, okay? Like he's done this literally verbatim exact thing that I did. So essentially, I'll break down the situation. So essentially what happened was someone purchased something, right? And we shipped it. The shipment happened to be like a little bit further than expected, so the cost was a little bit higher than expected. So we ended up like our profit margins like weren't as high as we would have expected them to. But I was like, you know what, the customer already purchased this item. They've already like, you know, purchased it like a day ago, so it'd be kind of unprofessional of me to be like, oh, by the way, sorry, like we can't ship your item anymore when like it's already been purchased over like a day ago, right? So I was like, you know what, let me just have good faith, build another customer, maybe they'll, you know, buy from us again. I shipped it out regardless, even though like it wasn't as much of a profit as we would have liked to see. Okay, mind you, John has done this before. Okay. So I messaged him. I let him know, like, yeah, by the way, like, I shipped it out anyways, but like our profit margins weren't as high, whatever. And he was like, oh well, like basically saying like all this other things, like I shouldn't have done it and whatever. So I was like, oh okay, like whatever, I know for next time. And like I just felt offended in that moment because I felt as if when it's you that does it, when you do something like that, you're like, oh, you know, whatever, you kind of, you know, rationalize it and make it make sense like I did when I was doing it, and you give yourself the confidence and the power and like the just general like know-with-all for our business to do that. But when I do it, it's seen as like something that's negative.
I think your stories has some holes in it. It's similar, but they're not exact. So for instance, what you're talking about is when I have shipped stuff, yes, we've lost profit, right? But when you ship that item, we actually lost money. So there's a bit of a difference, and I think that's the two things. Maybe you're confusing a bit or whatever.
Okay, well, I think you're having a little bit of amnesia right now, because I remember distinctively there has been a time where we have shipped something and we lost like $1, and we shipped it anyways.
Okay. Anyways, that's besides the point. So how do you think like we'd be able to like maybe like fix issues like that so like you don't get upset about them later on or something?
I'm not saying it's besides the point. I'm just saying like, you know, value my decisions as a business partner. Mm-hmm. If I make a decision based off of my rationale that this person has already been waiting X amount of days for their item, they've already purchased it, they're excited for it, they're waiting on it, and then now I'm going to come back and tell them that I can't ship it, that's unprofessional, and it's unlikely for them to be a repeat customer if that's the case. Mm-hmm. So I would rather lose 30 cents than to lose a customer who's probably going to buy again.
No, 100%. And if that's the rationale you want to put into it, you're 100% right.
That was the rationale that I put in it.
Okay. Well, thank you for teaching me that. Allow me to better understand it, because I think at the moment I wasn't necessarily like looking at all those different things.
I just think overall, like, we both need to give each other the, you know, confidence and the power to make decisions for our business.
But that's the thing, though.
Within conversation and within dialogue. Like, maybe I didn't voice my, you know, my thought process well enough to you. Like, I should have been like, hey, Janelle, the reason why I did this was because XYZ. You know, I didn't do that.
But one thing I definitely would like to see more from you is you actually making decisions. Because a lot of the times you like come back and talk to me and look for reinforcement or like affirmation, when it's in reality, like, if this is your business, sometimes you should be like, you know what, I'm going to make this decision despite what happens next. I have to deal with it and live with it. And I've been saying that for years now. I've constantly have said like, hey, Colette, like, I'd love for you just to like take more initiative in the business. Like, let's figure out some ways that we can like do certain things, you know, with or without my opinion in them, you know. Because at the end of the day, the business is trial and error. And like, how much times have I failed at doing stuff? And it's like, you're still here. It's like you're mad at me. So like the same thing. Of course, I may take it a different way because maybe like I have like a type of an ego, and sometimes like I take things a bit more personal than you do. But regardless, it's just like, try it. Like, it's not going to be the end all be all for our relationship.
I understand that, but this conversation is like, you know,
but we've had this conversation before, though.
No, we have not had this exact same conversation before. This conversation is clearing the air for. Why are you looking at me like that?
Go ahead. Finish what you're saying. You're tense, yo. Relax, yo. Why are you so tense
because you stress me out.
Why are you so tense?
Because you stress me out.
See, guys, this is exactly how she was before, eh? This is just a facade, eh?
Honestly, I was worse before. Yeah. I was flipping tables.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. But like, no, like this conversation.
But through communication, that's how we get through all this.
Exactly. Like, we need communication, so that way I can make a decision based off of my rationale and know that you're not going to be like whatever about it, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying like we need to communicate to get to that point where like I do make decisions already, but do I feel 100% comfortable making certain decisions sometimes? No. But like with this conversation, maybe going forward, I will feel more comfortable making.
And I would love that, because like that's gonna allow us to just be more efficient in everything that we do. You know, instead of always having to go back to like the quote unquote board of directors, we can just streamline everything and be like, hey, like, let's get this done. Bam. If it doesn't work, cool.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we had this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So like, it's cool. Like, it's supposed to happen like that. You know what I mean? Like, business is far from perfect. And like, realistically, like, we are humans. There are gonna be constant mistakes that if I make, you'll make, and vice versa. But still, we gotta learn from all that. Okay. And the only way we can do that is by doing it. So you know what I mean? So yeah. So in terms of like the Dead Stock Depot and Ottawa Vintage Clothing Show, what are some takeaways that you liked about it, and some things that, you know, we could have worked a bit better on it?
I think one thing for Dead Stock Depot, I think everything was amazing. The only thing I think is that we were little caterpillars before when we first started doing Dead Stock Depot. Now we're turning into butterflies. So I think the next event that we do with them, we need to have a bigger booth section, and we need to have another rack.
Okay.
Because I think we really, like, with the space that we were provided with, we utilized it to the best of our abilities by, like, you being on one side, me being on another, and I think, like, we were able to, like, bounce off people, like, effectively. Mm-hmm. But I think if we have just, like, a wider space, like, just more area to kind of lay out our product, easier for people to sift through the racks and, like, look
then
through
more
stuff.
People can actually
then
engage
more
in
people
the
can actually see it, and too, we can engage with more people, because like there were times when like our area would be too full, and I'd be like, okay, like I'm not saying hi to people until like 2 people leave. Because it was just like too much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna say hi to people and be like, yeah, take a look at the racks, and there's like 4 people on the racks and they can't even get in. Right?
So then they're frustrated, like, oh, forget these.
Yeah, they're like, what was the point? You know? Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I think that's one thing. For the Ottawa Vintage Clothing Show, I think for the most part it was really good. I think one thing, like, my only takeaway from it for me is just like more like relationship building with people. That's all.
So that's your own individual goal for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. For me, for Dead Stock Depot, one thing that I want to work on more is actually going around and engaging more with the actual other vendors. I think that's important as well, like finding ways we can actually be relevant within the community aside from just like always selling clothing. Maybe it's like finding how people do their social media. What are some of their favorite products right now? There's little things like that.
Or like what new selling apps they're using.
Exactly, like you know what I mean. Finding, and also of course like how can we give value to them as well too. You know what I mean. I'm sure there's like so much information that we have that we
I
can
feel like
supply.
you give value like all day, every day.
I try to be honest with you. I try to. It's just like little ways or whatever. You know what I
You
mean.
do. You're very generous.
You have to be, yo. But the best thing too is that like my boy Gary Vee, but he's like you can't expect anything back. You can't
No,
expect
you
anything
can't.
back, you know.
And you have to give before you expect. Like you have to give. Wait, that's exactly what you just said. Yeah, you have to give unexpectedly. Like
No,
you have to
100%.
give. That's literally what you just said. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. It's cool.
I'm like Wednesday Adams.
Yeah, but that's the best thing. Cause I think for me personally, I was always like extremely selfish. I just wanted to keep all the information to myself when I first started the business, and then I just started to realize like you get so much more from yourself and other people when you challenge yourself to do something like being selfless.
And also too, I feel like when you're in that state of like no, like I need to hold on to my information because I don't want anybody else to get it. You're kind of like working in a state of fear.
Oh, 100%.
And I feel like it's hard to accomplish things when you're working with fear. Like you're essentially working off of the mindset that like, you know, I'm holding on to this because if I give it to them, they're going to do it better than me. It shouldn't matter what anyone else is doing.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like you should be doing your best 100% no matter what. No, regardless of if there's a Beyonce in the game, you should be singing and dancing better. You know what I mean? Like
No, 100%.
That's
or not even singing and dancing better. It's the whole idea that like there's enough for everyone.
there is enough.
There's more than enough.
There's so
abundance
much to
everywhere.
go around. There's so much to go around. So if you're in the state of fear and lack, that's all you're gonna get. You're gonna get more fear. You're gonna get more lack.
You know
if
what I
if you're in a state of generosity and that there's abundance and that there's so much wealth and so much power for everybody to have a piece of the pie, then some of that pie is gonna come back to
No,
you.
and honestly, that's the way I really think about it too, right? I remember like even conversations with my brother, we were always like, yeah, again, the whole pie analogy. There's 100% of the pie, right? But I'm only able to get 10% here, 10% here, 10% there. Eventually, that makes 100%.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? So I don't think there's anything wrong with ever like giving information, helping people out, being generous. Because like one, if it doesn't come back to you, whatever. And two, if it does, that's like an extra, that's like an added bonus. You know what I mean? Because I really try to think that like whatever information I give people, one, I hope it helps them, but it's never gonna hold me back from doing what I have to do. Because that's where it starts. It starts with us first. If we're not doing what we need to do within our business, it doesn't matter what John, Bill, and Kathy are doing over there, you know?
Yeah. It's like having a mentality of like wanting to win a race but hoping that everyone else is bad.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's stupid.
It doesn't make it. Well, it makes sense, but it's just like it's foolish.
and
You're
to
not
be-
a champion.
No,
then.
100%.
You're just the best loser.
And the thing I love too about that, like, it forces competition. If you have a bunch of like super athletes around you, you are a super athlete as well.
Yeah.
So that whole mentality is what I really try to hold on to. It's like, one, either try to only be around people that are better than me, or build everyone up so they can be just as good as us. So they can teach us how to even be better at that point. You know what I
and
mean?
it's like a sharing of information back and forth.
Exactly. Because it's like we only have one brain. We're able to like connect with so many different people and them to give us so much different information. You know, we create this like cyclical effect where everyone is just sharing information. We're constantly growing together or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, you can't expect it. It
You
would
can't
be
expect
nice,
it.
but you can't expect it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think for me also, one thing I want to do for the vintage clothing show was again something similar to that, but again like something similar to like talking to vendors, figuring out information, how we can bring value as well, and also the whole idea of like different ways to sell, like upselling a bit, you know, because in the vintage clothing show we had a bit more space, so people were able to like really interact with our $10 bin and stuff like that. So like just to be able to like upsell, like, hey, you want to buy this jacket? By the way, it was our $10 bin, you know.
Yeah.
So like just to like create more revenue from doing different things like that.
No, that's a good one, and I also do want to find ways to like, you know, when there's people that are like on the edge, you know, when they're like, I like, I don't know, because it's really
It's like, buy the shit, man, buy it.
Yeah, like,
Imagine you just do that.
I know, right?
Just buy it,
Or I'll take your purse.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I wish.
Because it's really hard to like genuinely like convince someone to buy something, like, because there'll be times when someone will try something on and it'll look amazing on them, but obviously like they don't care what I have to say. Like, they're, you know what I mean, like after I say like, oh my gosh, it looks so amazing, they're gonna be, if I say something else, they're gonna be like, okay, like,
Yeah, you're just pushing it now.
you're pushing it, like you just want the lutas, like relax, you know. But like I just want to find a way to like really like connect with people, so like they see me as like their friend or like their girlfriend who's like, hey, like that actually looks amazing, and they're like, really, like, oh, okay, cool, like I'll get it. Like I just like, I feel like we have too many people that are like, they
Just on
really,
the edge.
yeah, they like, they, you can tell they really like something, but they're just kind of like, no, I don't, like, because I really don't think that money is the issue, because like our prices are decent.
Yeah,
Our
they're
price-
they're really modest. And
our prices
reasonable.
are really fair, so like that's an off way, but like,
Yeah, but you can't control that.
You can't control that one.
Can't control that one.
But like, you know, our prices are fair, so it's like I don't really think it's price a lot of the times. It's something else. So I want to find a way to help convert those people to just be like, yeah, I'll get it.
And I think with things like that, it really starts with us, right? So the
Yeah.
way we present ourselves.
Yeah.
If they can see us like well dressed, fitting the demographic,
Yeah.
then like, okay, well, I trust these guys' opinion because like they look crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Well,
I
we
think-
always dress well.
Exactly. That's why that's why I think we don't have a lot of those. But there
Mm-hmm.
are still a few of those people that are just, I'm not too sure and everything, you know.
Yeah.
So no, 100%, man. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to go over before we? it quits?
No, I think that's all for this week. I think the only thing for next week that to be honest, like tomorrow, that we really need to focus on is just sitting down and working on our marketing strategy. We have a marketing strategy, but
It's just
really like
implementing it. Yeah, and I have a bunch of ideas. I'm sure you do as well that we can just like incorporate.
Yeah.
Just really get this thing on the road because it's so crazy from what we said. Like we don't have a huge marketing strategy, but we've been able to do amazing things. Amazing things. So imagine when we finally do implement it, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Business is Pleasure. Again, please like and share so we know that you care. If you guys have any questions or any topics that maybe we should talk about, hit us up in the DM. Until next time, take care.